Welcome to the Creating Creatives podcast, now featuring our mom and dad.
Hey there, welcome to Creating Creatives, the podcast where we are creative parents trying to raise creative kids. My name is Roy Sampson, and this is my beautiful wife, Shelley Lloyd Sampson.
Blue wife.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, man.
She is beautiful. And today we're going to be talking about managing the interior critic or the inner critic.
Inner critic.
This concept of inner critic we actually got from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's an amazing book.
Amazing.
So when Shelley and I met, I was a musician and Shelley was in the film industry, but also a graphic design artist. And we wanted to tap deeper into our creative selves. And so we took up The Artist's Way. It's a 12-week recovering artist or unlocking your inner artist
So great
book program. It's really easy, a lot of really cool stuff in it. And one of the things that Julia Cameron makes sure that we are aware of is that we have an interior critic and we need to be able to snuff that sucker out, because the interior critic is what prevents you from getting started. It's the voice inside you that says,
You can't do it.
You suck.
You're horrible. You're the worst.
You don't have enough money. You don't have time to do that. Or,
yeah,
you know how old you are? By the time you finish that,
Yeah.
Like, it's that voice inside you that just gets you not to create. And it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is we want to raise children who are creative, and to be able to be creative all the time and to be able to see the world as a blank canvas to be able to create on. They have to be immune somewhat to that criticism.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think taking your inner critic, being able to suppress your inner critic really helps us with suppressing any exterior critics, which our kids are going to be faced with when they go out. We have our eldest son is about to go into middle school and then high school. And, there's going to be so many kids that are going to be saying like all types of crazy things. And if you don't have self-confidence in yourself, then those things go straight to your inner critic,
And then it just prevents you from being creative.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily want to turn off the critic, because we want our children to be able to be critical, because that critical part of them is also what allows them to course correct. So if they do something wrong, we want them to have a critic to say, you know what, that was wrong. Guilt's not bad. Guilt tells you that you did something wrong and you need to make reparations for it. And we don't want to turn that off, but we do want to prevent them. We do want them to not be paralyzed by that critic, because it's the same feeling that prevents you from saying sorry to somebody.
Yeah.
Because now you hurt your brother or your sister and you're like, I'm the worst.
Yeah, I'm so bad. I don't even deserve to apologize to them.
They don't deserve, or I don't deserve their forgiveness.
Yeah.
I don't deserve their kindness. Like, we have...
It's a bad spiral.
It's a horrible
hole
spiral.
You could get
like,
into.
we see our kids not wanting to get a hug from the kid they just hurt because of that interior critic telling them that they're no good. So, I know we struggle with that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I struggle with it. I'm trying to do my own podcast, and I've been trying to write and rewrite the script, the first script for 3 weeks now, maybe 4 weeks, and I have not hit record.
Why not?
I don't know. I have no clue. There's an interior critic inside me saying, you know what? That's not good enough. Like, that script isn't good enough. It's not going to sound good. And
I get that every time with this podcast. I'm like, we don't need to do it. It's more like my inner critic being like a procrastinating critic. Like, try and find ways to be like, we don't need to do this, because then
or you don't have time.
I don't have time.
I'm too tired.
We should get to bed. I know. And it's
Monday night. Who would have thought Monday nights would be a perfect time to record?
Monday nights, put the kids to sleep, and then
it may not be the perfect time. It may be the worst time, but that is the time that we put on the calendar.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we said was, we're just gonna hit record. We're gonna set up all the stuff. And hit record. That's the deal. And which brings us to our first critic killer.
Critic killer. I like that.
Is-
We got some critic killers for you.
The first doable step. Just look for the very, very first doable step that you can possibly take.
The smallest thing you could
The
do.
smallest thing, and do it.
With the least amount of effort. You know, like
Least amount of effort and some gain. It doesn't even have to be a big gain.
yeah, like when I don't want to take the trash out at night, I will take it out of the trash bin and put it in front of the door.
That's it.
That's
And sometimes that's all she needs to do, because then I'll see it in the morning and I'll take it out. Or
Yeah.
sometimes she will sit there and then she'll tell me, hey, can I take a walk? She'll get on her phone and then she'll see it by the door and she'll take it out. So
Yeah.
either way, the trash can had already made, or the trash bag had already made the first 2 steps right next to the door.
Yep.
So either way, you made some kind of progress by taking the very first step.
Yep.
So for this podcast, it was just hit record.
Yep. If you want to exercise, another great one is to just put on your exercise clothes, right?
Yeah.
And then you, instead of going to work or whatever, you're like, well, I'm dressed, so
Yeah.
I should hit the gym or I should go outside. Another thing for exercising for me, I was just not into exercising. And I was like, well, I guess if I at least go for a walk and just go for a walk around the block and make
some
it
steps.
small, make it
Yeah.
small. I went for a walk around the block and then I'm like, well, that was really quick. I should do another one, you know? And the
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're like walking, running, exercising, you know, you just baby steps.
Yeah, and just to keep it, you keep yourself doing things. So when I was more frequently working out, going to the gym, I'd go at 5 o'clock in the morning before work because it was the easiest time for me. And one of the killers of going to the gym is you get sick. So if I got sick, you know what? I would still go to the gym. I would bring my laptop, and not sick as in like coughing, fever sick. However, like just your body's just not up for it. I would still go to the gym with my laptop, and I would just go to the gym. They're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, you know what? My habit is to go to the gym.
Right. So I'm just
So
here.
even if I can't,
making sure
even
I
if I have
can
to,
go.
if I have work to do, like I need to check emails, I'm going to go to the gym because
Yeah.
this is the gym time.
Yeah.
And you know what happens sometimes is I'll finish and then I will get a workout in.
Yeah.
Even when I'm not complete and I'm not getting my complete workout in,
Yeah.
at least I got a workout in, and I never broke the habit of going into the gym.
Yep.
The example you gave earlier of putting your gym clothes on, I actually started riding my bike to work instead of going to the gym because it was, I don't know, it was getting hard. And so I started riding my bike to work. It was the same amount of time as working out.
Yeah.
And so I could either ride my bike or drive the car and then just go straight to work.
Mhm.
And what I would do is I would put on my gym clothes or my biking clothes because I'm not going to drive to work in my biking
Yeah.
clothes. So I would literally crawl out of bed and just put on my biking clothes. And I'm like, well, I
Got
just
'em
have to
on
ride the
now.
bike.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And so the critic that tells me, you know what, you don't have time to work out, or you're too tired,
Yep.
you just woke up, or you have all these things that you need to do to get to work, you should just drive the car, to get there
Mhm.
fast. It's not there. Like there's no chance because I already have my biking clothes,
Mhm.
and the only next logical step is to ride the bike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those baby steps are so important because it builds to something bigger. So when you have another great example is if you have no time to do anything, right, in your day, there's something you want to do, which is so important because if we don't fill ourselves up with the things we love to do, our critic is winning. You know, our inner critic is the one that's like, haha, you're not doing anything you want to do because you don't think you can. You don't give yourself time to do anything. And so that's why you have to make even just 5 minutes, like start with 5 minutes. It's the same thing when we were talking about spending time with our kids. And it's like,
30 seconds.
30 seconds. That's what
Start
it
with
took
30
for
seconds.
me. It took 30 seconds. I was like, I
Yeah.
can spare 30 seconds. Timer is on now. And then 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, I'm like, wow, that time went really fast.
Yeah.
But you develop a habit of it. And so if you find something that you love to do and give yourself 5 minutes with it, and you'll be surprised at just giving yourself 5 minutes a day. 30 seconds. Start out with 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it is. Just do it, and just get started. And if you are scared to get started, say you love writing, say you love making art or painting or something, right? And you don't know where to start. just start writing words. Just start writing words, right? And just start painting something. I love to give myself this creative playtime before we do any arts and crafts, or what,
It's sacred
things.
time where you can't do wrong.
You can't do wrong. You can't. Your critic can't come out, and so it's this experimental play, exploration,
critic-free zone.
Critic-free zone, and it's so important to start with it because when you start with that, you fill up your cup so fast, and you get so excited about making things, and then you get different ideas, and it takes a while to warm up and do things you love and kind of quiet that critic down about, oh, I'm not good at this, I can't do that. But
well, and why are we spending so much time talking about our interior critic? Because if we can't control that critic, how are we going to show them how to control their critic? Because these critics, they will gang up on you.
Yeah.
So if our critic is strong in our heads and our son starts beating himself up for something he just did, my critics are going to jump right in there. And you know what? You are a horrible kid. You should just go in your room.
I know.
It's hard not to.
Sometimes as adults want to be the little kid and be like, meh, meh, meh. Oh, yeah? Nah.
Okay, go in your room. I'm the big guy.
We know you feel like us sometimes.
Yeah.
No.
And that's why we have to make sure that our critic's in check, because it will jump in.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the first doable step, we need to be able to keep our critic in check so that we can help our children take that first doable step.
Yeah. And before any of those, I think another important thing is just being well rested, fed, stressed.
All your basic human needs.
Basic human needs need to be met. And then really trying to fill up your cup so that, you can put that critic away. I think filling up your cup is kind of the process of getting your critic to get out of here.
Get out of here, man.
Get out of here.
So one of the ways that we did the first doable step. So Tristan had a book report. Book report is 3 paragraphs. Oh my gosh, 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, it might have been 5. I can't remember.
5 paragraphs,
So,
3 sentences each. You have your opening sentence,
five
your
sentences.
body, and then your supporting sentence, whatever, right?
Yeah.
5 sentences, 3 paragraphs. You keep flipping it on me. That's okay. My critic is not going to get in the way. I'm just going to keep talking. So it was 3 paragraphs, 5 sentences each, and he's not even going to want to write 1 sentence.
Yes.
And I was like, buddy, just give me a bunch of words. Can you just give me a bunch of words about your summer that you liked? He's like, yeah.
Because, wait, just before you go into that, when he was starting out with his book report, first of all, I was overwhelmed. I had him whole day. I tried. I had him the whole day. We had done a whole bunch of things, and then we had the book report, and he was like done, and I was done with him. And so this is another little thing. If you're done, ask your partner. Be like, tag team, you're in.
She could have controlled her critic.
Yeah.
And I was fresh.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
You're in. But Tristan was so down on himself, because he was daunted by this huge task of
I can't do this.
A whole book report.
This is huge.
Yeah.
And then it would kick into I'm horrible because I'm not motivated.
Yes.
And so it would cascade into critic after critic after critic, and then it would just get on his nerves. And I was like, buddy, you know what? Just give me some words.
He identifies as that. Then he thinks he is the worst, or he's a horrible writer or whatever.
Yeah.
So paralyzes him.
And I just need to distract him so he's not hearing the critic's words and saying you know what, just give me a bunch of words about summer.
Yeah.
You don't have to write a sentence. Forget sentences. Forget paragraphs. Just give me some words.
Yeah.
What words come to your mind about summer? Bike, beach, breakfast, playground, siblings, family, dinner, outside, all these things. I was like, okay, cool. You have 25 words here. If we made a sentence out of each one of these words, I think you have 5 paragraphs. You have enough for 5 paragraphs. You know what? Let's just look at bike. Bike. Write a sentence about bike. I like riding my bike. Okay, cool. Write that down. And literally, it's just the first doable step. Next thing you know, you have another step that you can possibly tackle. Because now you have, the first step gave me 25 words. The next step is, you know what? Let's try to create adjectives that go with these words. Now let's create a sentence built around this word and this adjective or adverb or whatever. Next thing you know, his book report was done. He's proud of himself, and the critic had no chance.
Every step of the way, he's getting stronger in his confidence and of himself. Yeah. And then the moment, man, that critic hates some confidence, let me tell you. And if you have confidence in yourself, which is why it's so important to have confidence in yourself, not cockiness, but confidence. Because when you have confidence in yourself, you're able to then deflect any criticism that comes on. It's like, creating this shield around you, your confidence shield that just kind of deflects any badness and criticism that people throw at you and say at you, because you're like, okay, you said that. That's fine. That's your understanding. But I know that I am this, and they're not being identified by this one thing that happened to them or this one situation, because they know it doesn't define who they are.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the being able to create those habits of literally just doing things without allowing the critic to come out is what will get you to succeed.
Yeah. It's like there's, I think the other thing, knowing that I try and tell the kids, so when they're down on themselves and they're not feeling so great, I try and tell them that this is one emotion that they're feeling. It's okay to feel these emotions. It's okay to feel frustrated or angry or sad about whatever it is, and let them know that that's just one emotion of one thing that they've done, or that they're feeling, and it doesn't define who they are, right? So if you think of a spider web, it's like who they are is in the center of the spider web, and then they have all of these things that come out. These I don't even know what you call them in the spider web.
The spokes.
The spokes. It's a wheel. Actually, they use this example in the Whole Brain Child, and I think they use a wheel. And it's so you have this wheel, and then each spoke at the end that comes out is like everything that defines who you are, and you're in the middle. And so it's like all of these, you are made up of so much more, and we all make mistakes and we all do these little things, but just because we do a little thing that might be bad, or we're learning and we haven't learned not to do that yet,
it may not even be something we did. It could just be something someone else said, and anyone who's on social media knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're sitting there knocking out all these wins, and you posted so many awesome things, and everyone's saying good job, you get 100,000 good jobs, and then one negative comment on social media will just kill your whole day.
You just
that critic
focus
is
on
loud
it.
And it's strong.
Yes. And that it knows your weakness. It's like, I see that hole in the force field. I'm a horrible person. Straight into your heart.
Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff that we want to be able to prepare our children for, to have that immunity to that kind of criticism. And it takes a lot of discipline. And a lot of times when we discipline our children is when that critic is going to try to come out. Because when they do something bad, or let's say
they break the rules,
Zachary jumps on Tristan's head and hurts him, then now it's like, Zachary, that was bad, like you shouldn't have done that, you hurt your brother. What does he say? You hate me. Because we just reprimanded him. Right.
You reprimanded me, so now you have no love for me whatsoever.
So you call out the fact that, you know what, I don't hate you, but what you did was not good. Like it was not right. You don't hurt your brother. We don't hurt our siblings in this house. Now go apologize or make sure he's okay.
Our words really make a big difference. And so choosing them and saying instead of saying you're bad or you're not good, it's your action that you did, right? So it's like the jumping on your brother is not good. You are a good boy, but jumping on your brother was not a good decision to make, and what might have been a better thing to do if you want, for whatever.
Well, what are the consequences of what you just did? Right? You always tie the behaviors to the consequences, and you separate the shame from that behavior. Because what we want to do when we discipline our children is to stop that negative behavior that they just did. But what we also want to do is not kill their spirit. We want to separate the feeling of guilt from the feeling of shame. Because
so important.
Because guilt is part of our internal compass. That is how we know that we did something wrong and we need to make reparations for it. That's how we know that we need to apologize. That's how we know that we need to pay for something that we broke. Right? So that guilt is a good thing because it helps us course correct. However, doing something bad, now thinking that we're a horrible person because we did something bad,
causing
is
shame,
and thinking that you're irredeemable because you did something bad is a completely different thing.
Oh, and it's so bad. I mean, Brene Brown goes into amazing detail on shaming, and how just bad it is.
Yeah. So as we try to kill that critic will try to instill shame in our children. And so drawing that line saying, you know what, you hurt your brother, but that doesn't make you a bad boy. You're a good boy.
Yeah. I think you also want to...
We don't do things like that.
You also want to reaffirm to your children that they're good kids. I mean, if you're constantly telling somebody they're bad, they're going to be bad.
They're going to label themselves as a bad kid.
Yeah, I'm bad. Okay, I'm going to be a
horrible.
bad kid. I'm stupid. I'm going to be a stupid kid. Like you are, because that's what you say you are. So you know
what they're going to do? They're going to do stupid kid things.
Yeah. So it's so important to let your kid always know that they are good and they're wonderful, they're smart, intelligent, all the things. But their action that they might have done was maybe not a good decision. It wasn't a good, and also, when letting them know that it's okay to feel those emotions, and that, if you want them to stop arguing, just think of whenever you're in a moment of your child doing something you don't want them to do, you're getting frustrated and you want to just be like, just shut up, You have to control yourself, not say that, and say, think of something else to say. And this is a great brain exercise, because the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and the better things you'll say, and the easier it will come. And so if you see somebody, if I see my two kids and they've been at it all morning, at each other all morning, poking and kicking and pulling and,
He touched me.
Oh my gosh. It's so annoying.
Just give me my time.
Instead of being like, stop arguing, or, whatever. I asked them, maybe you guys need a break, let's take a break. And then you go and
instead of shut up.
Yeah.
Just say, you guys need a break?
Yeah.
Because I need a break. You guys need a break?
Yeah. Let's take a break. And then you go and you lead them to something, obviously, depending on how old your child is. Ours are still pretty young. So I'll lead them. I'll take them. I'll be like, let's read a book. I'll put on a podcast. I'll put something in front of them and, and let them play like some blocks or puzzle or something.
Distract and conquer again.
Or if it's really bad, it's like, okay, you can feel however you're feeling. You need to go into your room. And then I lay something out inviting, and then
well, a lot of times they'll start arguing at the dinner table, right? And so one of them will go full-blown crying, critics, and I'm a horrible person, blah blah blah, I'm crying, I can't stop crying, and so now I'm horrible. It's like, you know what, it's okay to cry. Like, good people cry all the time, but we're at the dinner table. Do you need to take a break? Go to your room, and then I'll check on you in 2 minutes, and then if you're ready to come back, come on back. Right?
It's okay to cry.
It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel horrible right now.
Yep.
That's okay.
And that doesn't define who you are.
I'm not leaving your side.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think
you can feel horrible. It's okay.
I think having that, when they know that they're loved, when they know that these feelings will pass, and when they know that what they've done wasn't good, but that doesn't define who they are, then the critic doesn't have anything to hang on to.
It has no ammunition.
It has no ammunition.
All the ammunition was the things that they did.
Yep. Yeah.
And now it has no ammunition. You just took it away from them.
Haha, take that, critic.
Next, more ammunition is when they play games. Kids will play games. They'll play tag. They'll play board games. They'll play cards. They'll play whatever kind of game, basketball, and even racing. And you know what happens?
They lose.
One of them has to lose. And we can either give everyone a trophy whether they lose or not, or we can teach them how to lose.
Tell them it's okay.
It's okay to lose.
It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to lose. And you just have to make sure your actions don't define, your anger or your loss, right? You can't lose and be like,
yeah. Bam! Shelly used to hate it, but I would never let Tristan win when we would race. And he was like, what, 3, 4? And I was
like,
just
come on, dude.
Like, let's race to the car.
Like, run.
It's like, just fly by. And he would just like drop and cry.
I was like, dude, go on. He's like, he has to learn. I was like, oh my gosh. This
Sometimes I'd let it be
years.
Close. I'd let it be close. And in the last 5 feet, and then he would drop and cry. And in my mind, it was like, he's going to need to learn what it's like to lose. And I was also the one who taught him to play cards, and at the very beginning, you always look a person in the eye, and then you say, "Good luck."
Yeah.
And then you play the game.
It's a great way to start.
Whether
Good
you
habit
win or
to get
lose,
into.
at the very end of the game, you look your opponent in the eye, shake hands, say, "Good game."
Yep.
And I started this when we were playing Pokemon cards because he would just blow up every time he would lose, just like when we would race. And
he hated
he hates
losing. Hated it.
He hated
This is when he
losing.
was little, like super little, but
yeah, and so we would play, and then I let him win 2 times, and then I would say, "Good game," looking him straight in the eyes. And on the third time, I'd beat him, I clobbered him, didn't even give him a chance. And then I was half surprised but half happy that my experiment worked. He looked me in the eyes and shook my hand and said, "Good game."
yeah.
And it got to a point where he would go to Pokemon tournaments.
Yeah.
And he would get clobbered by these kids
He would lose,
whose parents spent thousands of dollars on their cards, and he had a starter deck.
Yeah.
And so he just got clobbered the whole time he was there.
But he loved it.
But he loved it, and he was just sitting there saying, "Good game, good game." And then he would analyze, and he was like, "Yeah, his deck was really strong." But I was also proud of him because one of the matches he won with a starter deck.
You're like, that's my boy.
He won with a starter deck because he's taken all that beating. Then his strategy had to be really good.
Yeah. And I just remember I would they would play at this great little shop in the mall, and then I would take the other two. We'd go exploring and around the mall and come back. And then I would see him, and I'd be so happy, and I'd be like, "How'd he do?" And I'd be like, "He lost every
single
game." It's like, no way. He learned how to enjoy the game. You know? And it's something
and
you
that
have
losing
to.
does not define who he was as a Pokemon player.
Yeah. And it's okay to lose. And I think we have to remember that as adults, it's okay to lose. You want to lose quick. You want to lose fast. Fail forward, right? You want to
it's okay not to get what you want.
It's okay not to get what you want.
Next thing.
Yeah. And maybe that next thing is going to be better. And when you fail, I'd love to fail.
That's how I got hurt.
I love to fail. You fail quickly. If
I
you
had to let go of the last one to get her.
Yeah, right. You have to move on, and you don't know what's in store for you, and if it's going to be. Sometimes we have this vision of like, this is the way it's going to be, and then bam, it's like 180, and you're like, what direction am I facing?
And then your critic is like, "You're horrible. You can't even choose."
Yeah. There are these moments in life that you look back on, and you're just like, wow, I was being beat up. Life was beating me up, man, hardcore. But during that time, you could either be beat up with it, or, I love the expression, go with the flow when you're surfing. It's like the waves are coming at you, but you just surf those waves. You ride it. Yeah. And I think that's a great example of it. And that's something we want to teach our kids, that when you lose, it's okay. It's like you ride that wave. You just keep going with
Next
it.
game.
Next game.
Yeah, I lost. Next game.
Yeah. The next thing. So
last but not least, it takes a lot of practice.
it does. We're still practicing it.
Yeah, we're still practicing it, and we still lose it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lose it, especially when my critic is I'm just tired. I want the kids to go to sleep.
Tiredness is the critic loves coming out when you're tired. That's for sure. Well,
Yeah.
mine does, anyways.
Well, and when your critic does get the better of you, one way to continue keeping the children's critic at bay is example is if I just yell at them because I just had it. You guys, whatever, right? I just have to swallow my pride, and as soon as I possibly humanly could, when I get myself in check, I chase them and I apologize.
Yep.
I don't apologize for what they did. I don't justify what they did. I don't negate what they did. I apologize for my actions.
Yeah.
So if anything, I just don't even talk about what they did.
Yeah.
And
It's so important.
I'm so sorry that I yelled at you. I'm sorry that I made you feel bad. And I could tell that I hurt your feelings. And then at least 5 words of affirmation. And I've actually created a habit of giving them at least 5 words of affirmation as I'm putting them to sleep.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm so proud of you. You're such a good boy. You make me the proudest daddy in the whole entire world. And you know what? I love how creative you are. and you were doing such a good job today. I could tell you made a couple of mistakes, but you did a great job of trying. That kind of stuff. Just shower them with all these words of affirmation, because these words of affirmation are basically the things that are going to be fueling them when they're off on their own, trying to make sense of the world, and they're getting beat up by these waves. The pool of the pool that they're going to be drawing from are the words that they've gotten from you, from their parents.
No wonder our kids have been good recently. I've been giving them affirmations too.
Yeah.
And I think another exercise actually that you can do is self-affirmations, whether you write them in a journal.
Yeah, affirm yourself.
Yeah, and you do it for yourself as well as your kids. I have our kids write in a journal 5 things they like about themselves, 5 good things that they've done, 5, like whatever it is, right? There's 3.
5 things you're awesome at.
It doesn't have to be 5. Yeah, it could be 3, or things you want to get better at too. So, so there's the writing part, but also if I see them really struggling, I'll bring them over into the mirror, and when they're not too, and have them stand in front of the mirror and just talk to themselves and be like, I am an awesome artist. I am really smart. I am a bookworm and I love reading. I'm really good at making friends, And so they say these things while looking at themselves in the mirror, and they feel it's hilarious because they get all giggly and like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. But it's so important, and it's such a great thing to do when you're older and you're feeling really down on yourself. Just get in the bathroom, close the door, get in front of the mirror, and remind yourself how awesome you are, because, you need to shut that critic up and
and if you're a critic denier, or you just don't believe that there's a critic exists, write down 5 words of affirmation. I am awesome. I am good at what I do. I deserve love. Just write 5 words of affirmation for yourself, and then write 5 words of, desecration, defamation. I'm horrible. I suck at what I do. Just write those things and then see which ones are easier. And I almost guarantee that the horrible words or words of defamation are going to be easier for you to write than the words of affirmation. And the easier they are to write, the stronger your critic actually is, because it does not want you to think that
you're good at something,
or you're awesome.
You could be a world, changer of the world of
your critic
things.
is trying to take value away from you. And you can't let it do that. And we can't let it take away the value from our children.
And another thing you should look for, or that I look for, is things that when I'm feeling down, I'm like, what makes me feel down and stay in my rut? And for me, it's TV, watching YouTube. I can't believe I said that. Or Netflix. Instead, like when I'm washing the dishes or something and Roy's putting the kids to bed, I'll put on YouTube or watch something. But when I do that, I get so unproductive. But when I listen to an audiobook, I get so much more productive. And so it's a slight thing, but I'm like, nope, I choose not to watch television tonight. I'm going to listen to my audiobook. And that way I'm going to feel better about myself. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to bed earlier. I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to have a more productive day. I'm going to feel better about myself. And so being aware of the choices that you make, just like we try and make our children aware of the choices that they make, being aware of the choices that you make for your own critic is important to see what.
For me, I have to turn everything off. I actually just have to read a book, which is weird because I'm a DJ. I DJ stuff. And so for the longest time, I always had to have a car with a good sound system, with a subwoofer. My old car had 212s and a 1,000-watt amp, all this stuff. But now I turn everything off. I don't even need a radio when I'm in the car. I could listen to audiobooks, but for most of the time, I have nothing playing, and I just think. And I just feel like all these creative things just going through my mind. It's a lot. Silence is my juice now.
I love it.
Is my inspiration.
When I go walking, sometimes I'll listen to audiobooks. Sometimes I'll call people, and then sometimes I will listen to nothing. And I love it because when you listen to nothing, it's just like all these ideas start generating. It's good. So let us know what works for you. Do you guys know about your critics? What do you do to stop your critics?
What are some of the critics are telling you not that you can't do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. And that is the end of this episode.
Yes.
Managing your interior critic, or what I like to say, kicking out evicting the interior critic. Hit the road, critic. That's
I like
this
that.
episode.
Hit the road, critic. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more.
With that said, we're going to hit the road
Yes.
and let you guys get to doing whatever you were doing before.
Yep. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to smash that like button if you're watching us on YouTube.
Subscribe and hit the little bell so you get the notifications.
Yep.
And if you're listening to us on a traditional podcast, give us a nice 5-star review to help other people like yourselves find us as well.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye.
See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.